So welcome everyone to the 8th episode of Adapt Revolution. We have a special guest with us tonight, Allan Malkis, and I am going to let Allan go ahead and introduce himself, and then we will get into some questions.
All right, thanks, Matt. My name is Allan Malkis. I'm currently the president of Congregation or Emet, which is the affiliate of the Society for Humanistic Judaism here in Minnesota. And I grew up in New York State, but I've been in Minnesota for 50 years. So I guess I'm sort of a Minnesotan now.
Yeah.
Spent enough winters here to qualify.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know what specifically to say about my thoughts and dreams for Adapt Revolution, except that my dream is that, to borrow a phrase, from each according to their abilities, to each according to their needs. I think Marx said it very well, and it's a good philosophy for any society, and it applies to everyone regardless of their abilities. So that would be my dream. So let me throw up, oh, you said a joke. I have a lot of bad dad jokes, but I don't know if they're appropriate, so.
Did you say cat jokes?
Oh, dad jokes, Beth.
Dad jokes.
Oh, bad. I thought you said cat.
No.
Sorry about that.
Dad jokes are acceptable on this podcast. So.
Oh, yeah, they're acceptable. I don't mind. Yeah, just.
You're welcome to save your joke for the end, or
I'll save it. I'll come up with a better one.
Yeah,
it's
fine.
Yeah. So Beth, I know that you're involved with Emet also.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Do you all want to talk a little bit more about what Emet is and connection to disability with Emet also?
Sure.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about what Emet is. We're an affiliate of the Society for Humanistic Judaism. It was founded here in the Twin Cities, probably in the 80s. And it was a very small group when I first encountered it, which was probably around 85, 86. And there were maybe 10 couples. And when my wife Diane and I started attending, we were the youngest people in the room. We were, how old were we? We were in our late 30s, but everybody else was older. And sadly, most of the original cohort that founded the organization have passed on. I think there's one or two people left from the beginning. But from that small beginning, we've now grown to a congregation with over 45 households and 15 individual memberships. We have a lot of interesting things going on. We have a Jewish Cultural Sunday School for kids, which meets once a month. I think it's 9 months out of the year. No, 10 months. And we have over 25 kids enrolled, which is really great. And we do a lot of things that a lot of congregations do. We have holiday celebrations, we have bar bat mitzvahs, we have cultural events, we have a Shabbat service and a Sunday service 10 months out of the year. Usually there's a speaker and a lively discussion, and it can be a political topic, a scientific topic, a religious topic, can be almost anything. It can be music or dance or show and tell, and we have a great time. And I know Beth has been Beth just joined recently this year as a member, but you've been around before at some of our events. So this
Yeah,
is your first rodeo.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And we have people of different abilities in the congregation. We have folks with mobility limitations, people, one or two members who use wheelchairs or walkers who need oxygen, people who are unable to travel to our events. So we do everything, since COVID, we're doing everything hybrid. So the people who
Great.
can't attend can watch at home over Zoom.
Yeah, sure.
And it's worked out really well.
Nice.
And we're really excited that as of next year, our ritual leader, Eva Cohen, is going to be ordained as a humanistic rabbi, which is going to be really exciting.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it will
that's
be.
what I can tell you.
Cool. Beth, how did you find Emet?
I can't remember how I found it when I, went to a few events that I, piddle around with, checking out. But, I saw it written into some magazines, and and it sounded real good. And I began to feel like after I had decided that uh, that what I tried believing in wasn't helping me. Then I decided that this was really up my alley, and that I had found my niche as especially as an activist,
Nice.
and especially with what I happen to believe,
Yeah.
especially around the way in which Palestinians were being treated.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And in terms of the income that I in terms of my living in poverty, and and feeling often left out because of that.
Yeah, one of the things that we really try to do is, if people need a ride or something in order to be able to participate in our activities, we really do try to make it possible for anyone to connect with us and to participate. And we have almost everything is done by volunteers, which is both a challenge and a blessing. And we do the best we can to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to take part.
That's great.
Yeah, and since on June the 21st, I did move out of where I was at. My crisis got solved by the last case manager I had by moving into a place out in North St. Paul, and I do have some transportation that the county pays for. It's not Metro Mobility. I call a day in advance. I mean, a lot of times they don't mind if I call at the last minute. But sometimes, when I call the number where I can, call when I'm ready to leave, sometimes they can be such a nuisance. They're getting to finally recognize what my phone number is. That is my cell phone number, but they're for times when they still don't even remember where I now live. And, well, today went rather smoothly in their remembering it and being able to pick me up from the Martin Luther King Center to get to go to the food shelf and all that. But many other times they just haven't done quite as well. But I mean, I at least don't have to pay for it, and I get pretty well treated when I call and make get rides set up and so forth and on. Other than having to insist that I get put on to the line to somebody who can help me out, other than being on a voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
They're certainly better than Metro Mobility.
Yeah.
Um,
We're certainly lucky to live in a state where there's, even though it's not as adequate as it could be, there's a lot more investment in social services and support for people than in many other states.
oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
that is so true.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I got that going for me. So, I'm not, because I live in North St. Paul, I'm not, and I do, I can't, there are times when I can get rides to some things, by certain people that, of whom I get on-site help, but I'm not sure to what degree I can always get those. I'm not sure to what degree I could get rides from people from Emet, because I live out in North St. Paul, which is practically next door to Maplewood.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 12-minute jaunt from with somebody else's vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And I could give you my new address. I, had done a change of address prior to leaving where I last lived.
Yeah, Beth is talking about trying to get a support group for Jewish disabled women started. Which is pretty...
Yeah, and I let Lilith, the Jewish women feminist magazine, know about my idea, and they were more than willing to take both of my phone numbers and let other Jewish disabled women know about it. Who who also think as I do, and and they're really the only resource around that I know of who care about this
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff, who acknowledge that we're pretty unique with our issues. There really aren't too many, or I really don't know of any resources that deal uniquely with Jewish disabled and Jewish disabled feminist women's issues
Mm-hmm.
at large.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the things about Emet is that we don't own a building, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's hard. We would love to be able to provide meeting space for groups like the one that Beth is trying to start, and
Mm-hmm.
others.
Mm-hmm.
But because we don't actually own a building, it's difficult for us to
Right.
support folks in that way. But we could certainly help publicize, the fact that
Oh, okay.
are interested, they should contact you.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'll try to see
Yeah,
that,
I had.
get that in our
Oh, go ahead.
for the fall. I'll talk to the newsletter.
Okay.
That's
Putting out our newsletter.
the Emet newsletter.
The Emet newsletter.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, the Ormet newsletter. Oh no, I understand. Yeah, when I had been involved with Caring Connections through JFCS, and I loved the uh, two women that ran it, Shelley, and I can't even remember her last name. I saw her last at a conference on mental health issues at Temple Israel, and she really, she complimented me, um, profusely on some uh, Minnesota Women's Press articles that I wrote, and I, was in my own shell, taking, focusing on getting the hell out of where I was last at, and just didn't want to write any articles until I was out of there. And I thanked Stacy, the other person who took over. Caring Connections just didn't have the people in that I felt that I fit in with, and so I, left it. I mean, I loved going on their activities. Otherwise, aside from that, I just did not have a lot in common with the people that were a part of that. With the exception of maybe one woman by the name of Lynn. She couldn't stand taking Metro Mobility anymore. She felt it to be a joke, but I didn't have a whole lot else in common with that one particular woman. I wanted to get together with her more, and she, was her time was being taken up by her fiance, who's, she was soon going to be marrying, and she often got rides from him to get many places, um, and, and so on and so forth.
Mm.
So, and then of course through my other activism, I've met a good number of other Jewish people, and then when I had been more active in, one component of the disability rights movement, I had met plenty of Jewish people who had, been hurt by the psychiatric system, and, but none of us ever thought of setting up a support group. And then one earlier this year, a Jewish disabled woman who you may have never heard of, by the name of Judy Human, passed away. And I don't think the corporate media covered it very well. She had Matt, I think she had mentioned, one of her, I think one of her mother's surviving relatives had, died during the Holocaust. I can't remember.
I think it was both of her grandparents.
Her grandparents, yeah. Her grandparents died during the Holocaust, and they were victims of it.
Yeah.
And she wanted to be a teacher. I don't know what grade level she wanted to be a teacher at, but they weren't, about to let her. And then I remembered that she did work at the DOJ in Washington.
Mm.
Yeah, we featured a
something
speech by her on one of our podcast episodes.
Yeah,
TED talk that she did.
yeah. And I would like to call the group the Judy Human Jewish Disabled Women's Support Group, to name it in memory of her.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Good idea.
Yeah, I never had a chance to meet her. and then Ms. had an article on her. Well, I misplaced the magazine, but found it again. And if I wind up getting another one in the mail, I could give either you or Matt the magazine to read about her. Ms. has gotten better about dealing with disabled women's issues, and they had one on Harriet Tubman, who dealt with depression, not depression, but epilepsy, which, well, that I'm just trying to think of a word that it's, often people with epilepsy deal with that too, as well.
Mhm.
I mean, they overlap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Yeah, her disability came about because of having been hit in the head, or I think by a slave master or so. I don't think I know the whole story on that.
Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, I don't know the whole story of how she became disabled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, a lot of magazines have their some of their issues online where you can look at them on the web. I could look and see if later, after we're done, I can look and see if I can get that article from Ms. Magazine.
Ms. Magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought it last year at Mississippi Market.
Yeah, I'll take a look for it. That would be good to
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, First Now had a book of hers, and I can't remember what it was called, and I was a little like, well, gee, if this is all you're going to have, what good does that do? I mean, it was a start, but, they went from just having a book of hers to having an article after, she passed away. So it was a giant step in the right direction.
Do you know when they had an article about her?
When they had it, it was, oh God, let me look at the, I'm just trying to find it on the floor. It was summer of 2023, and it's called The Rolling Warrior, and it just says, the late Judy Human never saw disability as a tragedy, but she saw barriers and denial as cause for rebellion.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that description a lot. It's really a wonderful one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on page 44. Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying I found a copy of it to look at. So thank you. I will read it later.
Oh, you found a copy?
Well, online.
Oh, online. Oh, okay, that's fine.
So if anybody wants to know, if you want to search for it on the web, if you're listening or watching this, search for Ms. Magazine and then just put in Judy Human, HEUMANN, and it should come up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she had passed away on March the 4th.
Yeah,
Um,
this year. Yep.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's really, um, yeah, I'm so glad she was represented in this magazine. Now have some old magazines of Ms. going all the way back to 1972 when they got started.
Mm-hmm.
I was just a little grade school girl in 1972. I had come up to Burnsville, having moved in with my sisters. I mean, my mother's sister. My sister and I were living in Burnsville at the time, so I had never heard the word feminist, and I had never heard the word feminist until I was in a psych ward for the third time in 1970. In 1980, and I didn't start calling myself a feminist until I had met now in 1984. I still had a difficult time with that until then.
The year I was born.
Yeah.
The year I was born, 1984.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still had questions before that, like when my sister's teacher got married, all her sisters' teacher in second grade was Mrs. Donlin, and then I remember when it changed to Mrs. Borsgard, I couldn't understand why the hell women's names had to change, and I never dreamed of the day when women could just keep their damn maiden names.
Right.
So I was already a budding feminist to some extent, and
the story about the orange on the Seder plate at Passover. There's a story that there's back when there was a debate about whether women could be rabbis. Some rabbi who was more traditional said, the day that there's a woman rabbi will be the day that there's an orange on the Seder plate, which is not one of the traditional
An orange
foods.
on the what?
An orange on the Seder plate.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's not a traditional part of the Passover celebration when the Jews,
Sure.
we have our Seders. Usually it's not one of the traditional foods, but many progressive congregations like Emet now do include oranges on the Seder plate.
Oh, wow.
To make the point that we think women belong as rabbis.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that is a good one. Yeah. I also have met at least, I think, one or two female rabbis who are autistic. They were born with their autism, and they've, been good trailblazers. I can't, I met them during Jewish Disability Awareness Month, and I thought that was always so, enlightening and empowering for me.
Yeah. Now that's something that I know one year we did do something at Emet for that Jewish Disability Awareness Month, but we didn't keep it up, and it would probably be a really good thing to try to get back to that. The constraint we have is that we only have 2 sessions a month, and if we have something else that month, I'm trying to remember if that's when we usually do the refugee Shabbat, and then, but we could maybe do it on one of the Sunday programs in the disability month, and then, maybe make that a standard thing. I'll have to talk to the program committee about that.
Okay, yeah, I could support you in that.
Yeah, because like I said, I know we did it some years ago, but we didn't keep it up.
Keep it up. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, yeah, I would say that, that July now is Disability Pride Month,
Mm-hmm.
and there's, I know that in Boston and Chicago, both they've got Disability Pride Month going. Chicago has had theirs for 19 years. This will
Wow,
be the 20th.
that's very impressive.
Yeah, it is. Philly is said to have, in Pennsylvania, have theirs, but I'm not really so sure. There are quite a few cities that lack disability pride, and they got started because they were inspired by LGBT pride, from what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And the corporate media doesn't cover it real well. National Geographic is one of the few more, I don't like to define it with traditional corporate media. They do a very good job of advertising it, and at least in their on the TV, they do a real good job of acknowledging it. And I get their newsletter. I haven't really gotten their magazine yet, and I've gotten surveys from them, and I let them know one year that I was really happy, when seeing them acknowledge it on TV. And they've been real good to me as well. And they said, yeah, we like to be inclusive of everyone. They've also been pretty good on the LGBT Pride Month as well.
Nice.
And all the rest.
Well, Alan, did you think of a good joke yet?
Did I think of a good joke yet?
Well,
boy, let's see. I shouldn't tell that joke. That's a I think this is a joke that I might have heard. I don't think it was Lenny Bruce, but it was somebody like that long, long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of the Lone Ranger and Tonto are out in the desert, and they get surrounded by a group of hostile Apaches, and they're running low on ammunition, and they're badly outnumbered, and they're the Lone Ranger's got like one bullet left, and he turns to Tonto and he says, well, Tonto, it looks like this is the end for us. And Tonto says, what you mean us, white man?
Yeah.
Pump, pump. Anyway,
Well,
best I can do on short notice.
there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be on your show.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything that you would like to leave listeners with as to close up the interview?
I guess I'll just give the website for Emet for people who want to learn more about the congregation.
Please.
It's www.oremet.org.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a secular humanistic congregation. We don't have God in our prayers and liturgy, but we believe in people, all people.
Yeah.
And we're very glad to have Beth and others with different abilities in our congregation.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Oh,
great
you
evening.
bet.
Right, Alan.
Yeah, I
you too.
will.
Take care now.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Have a good one.